Hi everybody, it's the Abstractionist. This is the first video I am doing for Sedna reading. So, if you didn't know, I was going to introduce new readings to the channel, and I said it was going to be Sedna, Lilith, and Chiron. I didn't know if Lilith was going to be on here because of the decks that I was interested in, but I decided to do Sedna because I'm very interested in Sedna. It's a very interesting energy to kind of like tap into. A lot of people know about Lilith, and some people know about Sedna, because Sedna I think is becoming more in the consciousness of people. But yeah, it's still not necessarily like the most known. Now, Sedna, the story, Sedna, it's a woman, gets, I believe, married off by her father, who's like a scheming ass bastard. Anyway, she decides she's gonna, yeah. What ends up happening is she ends up kind of like drowning. I believe she like decides she's not gonna do it. She gets punished for that. She ends up getting pushed into the sea, and there she dies. And so she kind of ends up living there. You know what I would really like, even though these are two different traditions, like the Little Mermaid and that idea of relationships and can't be with people, and Sedna, which is literally like she didn't want to be. She didn't want to be with that person. In many ways, it's kind of like Lilith, but perhaps more tragic. The idea perhaps of duty to your community when it comes to that. The duty to have progeny, the duty to lay the foundations and be established. Now, I'm saying all of this because Sedna is currently in Taurus, which would be the sign of Venus. One of the signs, anyway. So I wonder what Sedna has to say to us. I am using 4 decks, or 4 decks are here. We'll see if I'm going to use them. The first one is the Primordial Tarot. The second one is Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. The third one is the Uncommon Tarot. The fourth one is Queen of the Moon Oracle. Let's see how far we are even in. 3 minutes. Lord have mercy. Already. Alright. Alright. Angels, ancestors, guides, the highest order, please come in and deliver the messages we need for Sedna. Sedna, I call on your energy to come through. In this reading, please share what you have for us in this current time. Please give your insights, your wisdom, your messages to us for those who need them. Alright. 10 of Water. King of Wands. 4 of, I believe this is Earth. Let's do this. Double check. Yeah, Earth. Watershed moment. Watershed moment. Anger at the watershed moment. Anger at being able to express emotions, or anger that you are having to deal with emotions. Having to deal with emotions that You have the Six of Wands and the Queen of Wands. You felt like you already had conquered, already had dealt with, already had resolved anger at that, right? Because you, this Ten of Water, successful, or so you thought. This came out again. So what you've known about your emotional life, it's not a lie, but what you've known about your emotional life is going to crumble very soon. Six Lovers. So what you've known about your emotional life, what you've known about what you've strived for in your emotional life is going to change. Now, Sedna is in the sign of Taurus, which is dealing with love. I don't necessarily think it's about relationships, but it could be. What you thought relationships were, what you thought relationships should be, what you thought relationships would be accepted as, that's another one. That's being challenged, done away with. What you really want, I think this new moon is kind of helping this reading too. What you really want is coming to the forefront. I wrote a bunch in my diary about what I really wanted. And so perhaps it's time for everyone else to kind of do it. We got 4 coins, this. There is a bit of anger about this. There is a bit of anger about expressing emotions, having expressed emotions, feeling like if you express emotions, why can't they be accepted for what they are and how you're expressing them, right? Why is it that I have to clean it up? Why is it that I have to express myself in a certain way? Why is it that I get a flat response, no response when I am expressing myself in a certain way? What is it about these other people that don't get it, right? What is it about me that is not being able to communicate correctly or in a way that is going to be received? There's a lot of, like, I think, anger about that, because in other areas there may just be like a fulfillment, and there may be something where you don't have to, with this 4 of Pentacles, you don't have to work so hard, right? There's a lot of things that you may not have to work so hard at, but with this, and it's not even a thing of like crunching numbers or like analytics or like more tangible, even though this is represented by Pentacles, but it's something where like you're very certain and you're assured in it, right? Like you had like 10 of Cups and the King of Wands and the King of Wands. Make sure it's not air, but I don't think so. I think it is Wands. King of Swords. Even still, you're at the pinnacle of what it is. You're at the pinnacle of whatever this is. You're at the top of your game. You know what you're talking about. You know your shit. And to kind of feel like almost like a child and other topics is kind of like, what the hell? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it could be like also you're learning things from people younger than you that seem to maybe have it more together than you. And that could also be like in a blow, because you're just like, I should be with this king. I should be at the top of this. I should be on it. I should be leading the example. But I am not leading the example. Why am I looking at things or people who would be considered under and having to learn so much? What is it about their position that that is causing so much like triumph? What is it about it? I think there could be a realization of using mental, intellectual capacity in the wrong direction, or in a direction that really upsets you. So like And it could be things, you could be realizing you don't believe in certain things. Like the most clear example I can give is like, if you work in a certain job and you like realize you don't believe in your job, like I've done that. But if you realize you don't believe in your job, but you're like the supervisor or you're like the manager or shit, you even own the business, and you know its operations in and out, but there's just something about it that you really realize, like, the business that you wanted to have, the structure that you wanted to have, made no sense to other people and couldn't be clearly communicated to other people the objectives that you were trying to obtain. And so you settled with these 4 of coins, 4 of pentacles. You've settled for it. You've become successful, but you've settled for it. You don't have the mission statement for whatever it is that you're doing anymore. Like, you settle on a second mission statement, and instead of like really confronting that idea and that secret rage, you became the best at it, but it's just your mission statement is not aligned. And it could really be that like you don't live your mission statement, like who you are in your business could be like totally different. But like, I just think that you settled on a mission statement that was like close enough, pleasant enough, humanitarian enough that you could like get whatever funding you needed. You could get the materials that you needed to move forward. You can get the materials that you needed. It looked like a good idea for most people. It worked. It makes sense. And the money that you've gotten from it has not felt like enough. It hasn't felt like nearly enough for what you've lost, essentially. So you've been very successful, but it's not enough for what you lost. The Spirit of Wands is what you lost. And what you lost was an emotional connection to it. Now, this could be literally just a matter of tweaking the structure of your business. So if you want to take less clients, if you want to switch your clientele, if you want to narrow it down a bit farther to the people, the population that you really want, then you have to do that. If you have a certain client in mind where they have specific needs that need to be met and there's specific goals that they have that they need to arrive at, solutions they need to arrive at, then you need to do that, because it seems like you'd be able to ignite all of this and use whatever resources you have with this Witch card to go forward with that. So it just feels like you settled for something that has still been successful, but you wouldn't want this on your obituary, which is kind of sad because it's very accomplished. Like, it would be the first thing that people would want to mention on your obituary, but you would want it to be omitted totally, because whatever it is that misaligned with you, is that misaligned that you would be, it's almost like you would be embarrassed for Spirit to know that you actually did this, even though they're like watching you already. You would be embarrassed to like have to like account for this, you know what I'm saying? So whatever it is, it doesn't even seem like it's like a nefarious thing that you've done. It's just very misaligned for who you are. And it's like almost embarrassing to say what it is. But people would be very shocked to know that you're embarrassed by it. But there's just a settling that has happened. And you want like a spiritual do-over. This may be somebody who feels like they're too old to start over. And the only way they're going to get to start over is to have a new life, like to just start this life over, like just have a new life, like go to the next life and just do this. So this could be somebody who's retiring and kind of feeling like their retirement like isn't going to fulfill them. And it's not because they're escaping their job and they're like, "Ooh, I'm glad to have a job." It's like, I'm glad to like stop the job in a way of like, "Oh, I worked so hard and now I get to rest." It's kind of like, wow, like I wasted my life on that. I wasted my time on that. I wasted my time trying to achieve that. This could very well be someone who like ends up with like with the obituary and stuff like that, like they're like right on the brink of like passing away and they're reflecting on their life and they're not happy about it and they're trying to find some sort of like peace about like what they've done in life and what they put their energy toward in life. And it doesn't seem like, to be honest, it's going to get resolved. It almost seems like they're embarrassed to die having lived this life. But it's a very successful life. But I kind of feel like this person spiritually doesn't feel like they've died wealthy. And that's a really hard thing for them to kind of accept. And I think their mission statement had something to do with like, it's not necessarily religion, and it's not necessarily that they abandoned religion. It's just the tenets of religion when it comes to like faith and moving beyond fear, moving in spite of fear, has been ignored. And as a result, this life has been very successful, but it hasn't been very fruitful in spirit. And this person knows that, and it's kind of sad. Assessing. So I think this person, if they are like getting ready to pass, this could be just like a very big energy to contemplate in your own life. It doesn't have to be a specific person, but it could be somebody that you knew, that if you talked to them before they passed, they said these things, or you got the sense that this was like something that they were going through. So this is someone who really is exploring or trying to understand. It's not necessarily the meaning of life, but why did they let the meaning of their life be squandered, and why did they choose second best, and why did they do that? And it's not because they purely knew that they would get rewarded from the like external world. There's just something about the fear of being the witch, because it's very interesting that, because like the witch is a very strong energy to have to like step into, and it's a very like martyred energy. It's a you know what I'm saying, like it's very martyred, it's very misunderstood, hated, reviled, despised. And so it may be that like the person wanted to go in a field that it's not necessarily looked down on, but it's very easily corruptible. It's easily it's easily corruptible. You can easily fall into a lot of the pitfalls. You can easily get swallowed up by it. But they had enough sensitivity to see beyond that and see the good of whatever profession that was. And they should have gone for it because they had enough light and sensitivity to kind of navigate that in a way that they would have become the master of it. And even if the path ended up being a little slower with these 4 of coins, they still would have been very successful at it, because the core of what they were trying to do would have matched. So that's the overall energy. I'm gonna pull one more of these. No, okay, let's go this thing. This could be someone who comes from a family that routinely chooses alternate careers based on money or accolade. Page of Swords. And so this person may have gone into a family business instead. They may have gone into like a family business, taking over stuff like that, but they did not want to. It was very misaligned with them, but they perhaps were set up to do it from a very young age, or were just expected to do that. What it feels like is somebody born in a time period that like couldn't do certain things, and now they're in a time period where they can do certain things, but they feel like that time has been lost. You know what I'm saying? Like if I had been born, so say if you were born in like 1950, right? And there's certain things that like people couldn't do and with your circumstances. And then say it's 2023 now, because it is 2023. And this person, like, now they have like 6 months to live. They're assessing that life and being like, I wish I was born in this time period. And what may end up happening is they may really opt to be born in this new time period so that they can experience being able to choose a lot of their paths. Because it feels like this in particular has been like very oppressive to their spirit. And so they would reincarnate they would reincarnate. They wouldn't like let this go, because I feel like they have an opportunity to tether themselves to this world again and make certain decisions that would like actually bring them the fulfillment. I would wonder for this person, if you're on the brink of passing, how you would be so tethered to this. Now we need them. How you would be so tethered to this. 2 points. In the next life, their birth story would have a lot to do with would have just a lot to do with it. And perhaps this birth story that they've experienced, being born in this way, has felt more like an obligation. But with some of these cards around it, it feels like they would be born on a very momentous, like full moon, new moon, like a portal. And I feel like the people around them would notice that about this person's birth. And whoever this person's future parents, because I do feel like this person, once they pass, they are going to choose to come back, are aware that this is the child that they're going to have. They're very aware of this child. They're very aware of the task that they have in front of them, and they're going to fight to defend it so that this child, it's almost like, where's that other card? There you go. This spirit becomes their parent to make sure that this happens this time for real. So whoever, Sedna, I guess, has a lot to do with, even though we talk about sacrifice and stuff like that, it has a lot to do, has a lot to do with our parents. That's not right. They said no. It's not necessarily the parents, but it's like the portals you're coming through, the significators of your birth. Okay. So this next time will be very significant because the players involved understand their actual assignment, they understand their placement, they understand what they're doing, they understand this is momentous birth, they understand that the child that's going to be born is going to have a good purpose, and they're going to tend to that, and they know that they're going to tend to that. And Spirit's going to make sure this happens, and they're going to become their parents. An aspect of Spirit is going to break off and become the parents, and they're going to watch over this kid, and they're going to become whatever they couldn't become in this past life. Great. Brilliant. Last card. The Star. They're going to become a star. They're going to become what they always knew that they could be. And at some point, they may find out who they were in a past life, and they're going to be like, wow, like I've come a long way. I've come a long way from this. This person is so attached to becoming successful in their own right, becoming the star, that they're not going to reset like a lot of people. They're not going to forget what they did, because it's vitally important that they remember what they did so they can avoid it. They don't want to repeat this. They don't want to repeat this at all. And so it's vitally important for them to remember. All right. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. I hope you found it insightful and impactful. Yeah. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.